Hello, everyone. This is Bill Bittner from IBM. Welcome back to the fourth day of the VM workshop. Our first session up today is James Vincent, and he'll be sharing with us about zPRO version 4. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, James.
Thank you, Bill. Hello, everyone. I'm glad most of you are actually up and ready to go on a Friday morning to listen in on this session. I'm going to talk about building, maintaining your private cloud on VM with Linux, and what zPRO, a product from our company, can do for you, and give you some detail behind what benefits it has and why it's good for anybody running a private cloud with Linux on Z. So I'll jump right into it if I can actually get my presentation to move. So some things that you might want to consider going on right now is we've got some challenges that most companies are facing. The magical cloud, and I titled it that way because a lot of companies are looking at the cloud, the Amazon cloud, the Google cloud, whatever, that they can move all their applications, all their processing into this magical cloud, and it'll solve all their problems. So they can move whether it's ZvWS work or distributed work on whatever platform, including applications that are on your Linux on Z systems, that they can move them out to the cloud and save money, save time. They're more secure, and all those things that they're being sold. Now, this reminded me of back in the day, if you remember, when distributed systems was the buzzword of the day, and everybody thought, oh, grab these little servers, put them all over your company, and run applications and save a ton of money, and etc. The same reasons that are being presented for this magical cloud, and we all know how well that worked. In some cases, it works out well, and that's very true of the cloud. There are some cases that putting things out in the cloud make a lot of sense. Oh, yes, just real quick, I will take questions during my presentation, so feel free to interrupt. So back to the cloud, the managers and executives buy into this idea of this cloud because they're generally, there's a lot of anti-mainframe folks pushing this solution up the chain through the executives. People that don't want to see the mainframe thrive, they have their own hidden agendas. So they're trying to make it look like the cloud will solve everybody's problem. And they want a short-term win on their resume. Now, honestly, I went through this very thing about 3 years ago. So I was in this situation where no matter what we did and how successful we were with Linux on Z, nobody wanted to hear it because they wanted to move to the cloud. Another challenge that a lot of folks are facing is the ZVM skills are dwindling. They're leaving the companies. People are just retiring. If they fell into the whole cloud situation and the company just doesn't want to deal with mainframe work anymore, they're leaving and finding something else to do. Pretty much what I did. So that's a picture of me 3 years ago. Yeah, anyway. So a lot of companies really are not ready for retirements. For some reason, a lot of companies don't look to plan for people that are retiring. And thank you, Bill. They don't backfill a lot of skills. So the people that retire, all their tasks and requirements and things that they were responsible for fall to who's left. And those that are left usually get burned out because they can't do, more than one person's job in the first place. But if the company did plan and there are new people to train, those new people, they need skills, they need training, they need to figure out how to maintain and do all those things pretty quickly. So, somebody stepping into the role, if they're not there for very long and that person that they're replacing has already retired or retiring within a few weeks, they're suddenly the point person and they have to deal with it. And a lot of companies are very reluctant to send people for in-depth training, especially even now after this whole coronavirus thing. So why zPRO? Why is it right? Why does it fit this niche? We've heard this a lot. Anyone that works for a software company has probably dealt and heard with the same thing from their customers. They want simple and easy to understand solutions. It has to be something that they can deal with, look at, work with quickly and easily. Stable, dependable, and fast. A lot of times people don't have the bandwidth to have to babysit solutions. They want the thing to work as it's supposed to out of the box and work quickly. They need to reduce their time because they've got a lot of work to do and a lot of responsibilities, and they don't want to be interrupted a lot. So delegation of tasks becomes a big factor also. A phrase that seems to run around a lot is, I want it now. I don't want it 2 weeks from now. I want it right now. And that's where zPRO really shines. One of the places it really shines is that this product, the entire product, takes less than 10 minutes to install. So if you already have the Velocity Software Performance Suite installed, zPRO just installs right on top of it in about 10 minutes. Customizing it and tailoring it to your particular installation takes a little extra time. If it's a brand new system, it might take even more time just because you've got some things to set up, like dir-main or rackf and basic system environment type of things that you would want to set up anyway. You can use zPRO with multiple users and multiple groups concurrently, so a lot of different users and people or groups can be using it at the same time. And you can clone servers in seconds with this product. Again, or as it states, assuming flash copies in place, but even without flash copy, the ease of what zPRO can do when cloning servers saves a lot of time. Now, I mentioned zPRO being fast and easy. Is it really? Well, yes. Hopefully most of you listened in on our presentation at the beginning of the workshop where the metal to cloud in 2 days was talked about. And zPRO was one of the key factors in making that happen. With zPRO, we got zPRO installed in less than 30 minutes on 4 systems, so 4 members in an SSI cluster, completely and fully capable, meaning all that, because we used zDirect, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but zDirect is a built-in directory manager with zPRO. We were able to get that entire environment set up in less than 30 minutes and usable. So you could log in, you could actually do things, look at things right away. Now, we did take a break, and this was a great breathing break for Rick Barlow and I that were building these systems while a Linux guest was being built from scratch. So our coworker, Rich Smersna, was building this Linux guest from scratch. So we took a breather. Once he got that done, we used that as our gold image, and we quickly fired up that, with that gold image, we fired up over 155 images on these systems in less than 20 minutes. And that it was a proof point that we could go from no system to a completely viable cloud system in less than 2 days. And we did that, and zPRO helped us do that. Now, zPRO exploits the ZVM platform, and we really take advantage of all the strengths within ZVM and Z itself. zPRO installs on top of ZvWS, which is our native ZVM web server. It's also a super fast web server. And the authentication that ZvWS has built in allows zPRO to utilize. So we can authenticate through native VM directory CP, through LDAP or Active Directory, We can even do the CAC support, the client certificate support that IBM talked about earlier this week. So we also have that support built in. The multi-factor authentication will be coming quite soon. Once we get all the pieces and parts, we'll build that in also for those of you that need that function. CGIs are really easy to build in these web servers. They're really simple because if you know Rex, you can build a CGI. It's very straightforward. zPRO also supports all the common directory and security management tools that are out there, which right now there's Dermate and VM Secure for directory management and RACF and VM Secure for security management. But if you don't have a directory manager, zDirect, as I mentioned before, is built into zPRO. It is a directory manager that provides all the function needed for zPRO to build and manage and maintain directory entries. So for adding new user IDs, adding disks, changing disks, etc., it's all built in zDirect. zPRO, this is, I'm going to say it like 14 different times in different ways, but zPRO is powerful and yet simple to use. It's very simple, and that was one of the development points, is to keep it simple. So I did a simple picture. This took me days to put together, but from any browser, you're talking to our web servers, and the web servers use an ID called zadmin, which is the administrative server for those web servers. It basically is a heartbeat collector kind of thing to just make sure the web servers are healthy and everything's going fine. But zPRO, the CGIs themselves are on the web servers, and those CGIs communicate with zadmin through API calls for things that need a secure kind of authentication or any kind of privilege command. So whether it be interacting with Dermate, RACF, VM Secure, that kind of function, or any CP privilege commands, they're done on one ID, so that each individual user does not need to have any kind of special privilege. And the web servers themselves that are running CGIs, they could be running any CGI that, you never know what they could be necessarily. They don't have any special privileges either. So zadmin interfaces with all those things to keep it safe and secure. Now, if you don't have, like I said, a directory manager, we do include zDirect. It is a free feature of zPRO. So right out of the box, without Dermate, you can have directory management already set. And that's one thing we took advantage of with the Metal to Cloud. Simple also means we don't use SMAPI. Those of you that know SMAPI know exactly what I mean, because it is very complicated and there's a lot of moving parts there to worry about. We don't use any additional Linux workers, and we definitely don't use any Java. Java adds a lot of complexity that we just don't need in this solution. Now, this is my catchphrase. I came up with this a long time ago, and I finally can say it without stumbling. zPRO is exceptionally extensible. It is something that you can install it and figure out, hey, I need something else in this product, or another widget, another feature function that does something that our company requires. It doesn't necessarily, we need this kind of thing to happen when we clone a server. Like, we need a email sent out to the DNS group to let them know the server was built to add DNS entries. Something as simple as that. You can add that quickly and easily. You can or write and define these services very simply using either Rex or pipeline or pipelines or any other of the tools available to you in ZVM. So it's very dynamic. We define a lot of exit points, so you can do pre and post work in different scenarios, whether it's cloning or adding disks or even deleting a server. You can define exit points and do do different things you need when you're doing those functions. It is extremely quick solutioning for managing your systems also, and I'll show you an example of that in my demo. And that's around operations. So if you've got operations folks that you want to be able to manage your systems, especially during off hours, you can tie them into zPRO and give them features and functions that they can do push button management. Makes it very simple. And we can assist with any customization needs that you might have. A lot of times in talking with our customers, we hear what they need to do based on what, internal things that they need, and it turns into an enhancement to zPRO because what they're doing turns out to be something that a lot of other customers would probably want anyway. So let's talk about cloud management. zPRO includes all the usual cloud management features and functions. So modifying a server, starting and stopping it or restarting it, moving it if you're in an SSI cluster, deleting servers, etc. So the basics, it's all there. And cloning on ZVM and with zPRO, if you can build it on ZVM, we can clone it. So no matter what the system is or what it's running, we can clone it. In fact, we can clone ZvWS systems without much trouble at all. We've actually proof pointed that with a company that we worked with, and they're actually using zPRO now to stand up ZvWS systems for different reasons and be able to, build them, work with them, delete them, build a new one, and that's all ZvWS systems. There was a question. Oh, somebody's answering. Rich is answering. Excellent. Okay, thank you, Rich. Server expirations. We do handle full expiration support. So if you build servers that you don't want laying around forever, you want to manage those servers. Let's say it's for just for proof of concept or demo kind of thing, and you don't want them to sit on your system eating resources forever. You can set up expirations. And those expirations can either be, a hard delete. So if when that date and time hits, the server's gone and its resources are put back into the pools. And all the way through, it's a soft delete. The server's still there. The resources are still there. It's just they can't use the server, or it could just be a notification. So the server's still there, might still be running, but you, the administrator and the owner of the server would get an email saying, hey, the server's expired, and you'd have to take action if you choose. Full resource control and quota management. We have a hierarchical control. So from the product level itself, from the global level, all the way through the group to the user to the server, you can define resource controls and quota management through that entire structure. So you've got full control. And again, full live guest relocation. So we also provide, and I think this might talk a little bit to one of the questions that popped up there, but we do have a RESTful API interface, and we're currently in the works with Vicom with their Viva solution, the voice activation solution. I think this is going to be really interesting to see and hear how that's going to all come together, but to be able to, through the voice activation, to get information and do tasks through zPRO with this RESTful API interface. So if you have an appliance, you can actually do API calls, RESTful API, JSON structure calls to through zPRO, and either get or do work through zPRO. Full enterprise support. So just to break up and throw a picture of the enterprise out there, but zPRO has full enterprise support. And just like the enterprise, as they upgraded the enterprise and put a new navigational system in, things got better. So that was specifically for Rich, since he loves Star Wars so much. All right. But yes, we do have full enterprise support. So we can connect your entire enterprise. It doesn't matter where your system is. If the ZVM system is in the same data center, it could be in the same city, it could be across the country, it could be around the world. It doesn't matter. If your browser can talk to your ZVM system, we can connect it up and zPRO will see everything all together. It lets you combine all your systems into one pane of glass. So you can manage all your servers on all your systems around the world with one login. So it very, very easy, very straightforward management of all your systems, whether they're test, dev, or whatever. Now, this would be a great place for a live demo. So I'm going to switch screens and jump into a live demo. I'm hoping you can see the browser now. So this is I'm going to start at the what I would consider one of the great powerful levels of zPRO, and that's the delegation level. And this is going to be just a Joe user, a simple user. So IM user is just a simple user ID set up on zPRO. I'm going to log into that ID. Now this ID logs in. Again, this is just a user that you may have given access to, let's say in an application group. Application development group, they need their own Linux servers. You want them to be able to manage their own servers. They can start and stop, delete them, create new ones, and you don't want them bugging you about it. So you've given them access. So this is what I've done with this user. I actually have given them some resources. So this group and this user have limits on what they can do, and that's what this resource summary report is indicating here. This particular user and group have already met their limit on the number of servers because I've only given them a total of 3 servers that they're allowed to build. And this particular user has built 3 servers. So if they come in and say, oh, I need a CMS virtual machine because I want to figure out what this file list command is and see how that works. So I'm going to create that. Well, as soon as they try to create it, the system, of course, is going to come back and say, no, sorry, you can't. You've already exceeded your limit. So if they really, really, really want another server, they're going to have to delete one of their existing servers very simply, go in and delete it, and it's gone. And just to show, indeed, it's gone. So now they've got two servers defined. They can come in, create a new server, and zPRO honors it and goes ahead and does it. Now, zPRO, when you're creating servers and doing long running kind of tasks, I don't know if you noticed, this job queue will open up. The job queue is the worker system. So any kind of long running task is going to get a work unit and a worker to handle that task for you. It will monitor and maintain the state of where that particular task is so that you don't have to sit and babysit the whole thing. You can kick off, say, a clone. If you kick off a clone, it's going to do a kickstart process. If you're familiar with that, it's going to take 20-30 minutes to run. You don't want to sit and wait and monitor it. You can kick it off, let the job queue monitor it. It'll do it in the background. You can go do other things. Come back later and check it, make sure it ran okay. Now, if you come back and instead of this light green image around it and it says completed, it might say failed. Let's say you ran out of resources or the kickstart ran into something for some reason and it just didn't work and it got marked as incomplete or failed. This box would end up being red. So it'd be a visual indicator something's wrong. You can click on that job queue entry and it's going to open the audit log for that server. So it's only going to show you the scope of the audit log just for that particular server to see what happened with it. So you can go back and dig through the audit log and see all the detail of what functions were done and what transpired, and figure out what the problem was to correct if need be. Now, auditing, we audit everything. Well, we audit as much as we know and can find. So every action, every person, every action is audited, so that auditors can come back and ask you those nasty questions, or ask for reports, or whatever you need to do to show what people are doing. Or even instances where you come in on a Monday morning and your server looks different. It's got like 2 extra disks for some reason. You don't know what the heck happened there. You can go into the audit log and see what occurred, and figure out who did it. Now, again, this user is just an end user, so they only have access to a few options to create servers. On this particular system, we have, which you'll see momentarily, we can actually create all kinds of different servers and guests. But this person only has access to 4 different options. The options you can build for people range from what I call, this is a canned provisioning option. It means the server you're going to get through pushing one button, just process request, is going to be exactly what's defined. You get the stated amount of memory, storage, CPUs, everything is already predefined. So one button click, you get a server. The other option, which I'll show in a little bit, is what I call a la carte. So everything from a one single push button to the a la carte option. The a la carte option being, you can define a window with a bunch of fields. You can define how much memory, how much CPU. You can even designate, manually type in IP addresses if you choose to. So zPRO supports all these different flavors of requests. Server management, again, they've got limited access because they're just a regular user. But the main panel that everybody's go-to panel is this managed owned servers, and that's just listing your servers that you own and what you can do with them. And all the buttons at the bottom of this panel indicate what their authority level lets them do, so they can start, stop, and restart and delete their own servers. If you don't want them to delete their servers, you can remove that authority. And just like any of the other functions, you can add or remove those functions based on need. Details, you can get specific details. That's a boring one. That's a CMS user. Let me grab the Linux. Details just gives you a breakdown. These are very simple users that are built. It'll probably be more interesting when I get back to my other user ID. But you can get all the details of that server, when it was built, who built it, any IP addresses, how much storage is allocated. So all the major details. Resources, there's some basic resources that they can look at. So they can do a resource summary, which is this panel here, just seeing just a summary of what resources have been defined, what the limits are, so you can maintain and manage them. So this is just an end user. They have that kind of feature and function available at their fingertips for their servers. Now I'm going to switch gears and go to another level, a different level of delegation within zPRO. And if you notice the user ID that I'm logging onto is IAM-OPER. This is operations. So you can give zPRO access to your operators. Your operators can then have a very simplistic view of all the servers in the systems that they're going to manage. And in this particular case, this operator ID not only has access to the cloud demo system, which is the four-member cluster, it also has access to this LPAR called customer. And this is just another LPAR running in our system, not part of the cluster that happens to have zPRO and servers on it. So you can give them access to do the things that they need to do very quickly and easily. And they can start and stop servers. They can move servers. They can view the audit log. They can also look at details of servers. So if they have questions on, let's say a router goes down and they need to see who might be affected, they could do a quick report or look at the details and see what servers might be affected. So this also solves the problem of you as an administrator or systems programmer getting called at some ridiculous hour of the night in order to do fairly simplistic things. Like let's say, for instance, that they need to load balance and they need to move a server or a group of servers from one system to another. In a lot of cases, we've heard the systems programmer has to get involved because the operations staff don't necessarily do that kind of thing that much, so they don't retain the detail on how to get it all done. zPRO lets them do that by just selecting. They can select the servers, that they want to move, and do the actions based on one click. And for the move, they can select, what members they want to move to. Very just again with just one button click, and it's done, and zPRO handles it for them. Now let's take this a step further. I mentioned before you can extend. It's exceptionally extensible. The zPRO can be enhanced to do a lot of different things. If you've got operators that, again, they don't live on VM necessarily, they've got a lot of other things to do, and they very rarely have to come back to VM, and you don't want to necessarily give them written commands that they have to type in manually, because that just opens up the possibility of typos and whatnot. You can build interfaces such as this one. This one is for enabling and disabling consoles. So the particular solution we were putting together here real quick is somebody had a OSA ICC card. They had multiple cards, and they were applying and doing maintenance on different cards, and they wanted to take those devices, the device address ranges, offline and then online. They wanted their operators to do it because, again, it's at like 3 a.m. in the morning that the maintenance was being done on the cards, and the system programmer didn't want to be online at that time in the morning. So we put together this little dialogue, and literally it took less than 10 minutes to put this all together. There's a little bit of Rex in the background to handle the actual function. So it's a little CGI written in Rex, and it gets all this information, whatever is selected, and does the action and produces a response to the operator as to what happened. Quick, easy. Operations doesn't have to look at a piece of paper and type it in on the console. Very, very easy to let their operations staff manage their systems. You can also build special interface or special windows for your operators. So let's say you want to be able to see all the servers on one particular system. You can actually build menu items interfaces for them to do just that. So if you're, in this particular case, this VSI VC1, that's our Cloud One member. If I wanted our operator, if we had an operator, to migrate all of these, any running system on this particular member to a different member, they can quickly and easily see not only what's running, but take actions on all those servers all at once. So again, a very easy way to get your operations staff to get hands-on and manage things for you and for the Linux servers and for your system overall without your interaction. So that's an operator view. Now I'm going to take it up a step I'm going to log on to my ID. My ID is an administrator. So I'm a full administrator. And if you see here, I'm going to go ahead and arrange these sessions or the windows. My enterprise view, I have access to 4 LPARs. So I have our cloud demo system, which is the 4-member cluster. That customer LPAR, I have a demo sys4, which is a secondary demo system. That's our old demo system before the 4-member cluster came about. And then our development system. So I can see all the servers from all of those systems in one place. That's what the enterprise support really brings to you. One pane of glass, one login, and I can manage the whole thing. That includes all the reports and tables that you see. It collects all that information up from each of the enterprise connections that you have and puts it all together for you. So you don't have to go to each system individually. It's all there for you to see and manage. Now, my summary report on this particular system is very important because I have to maintain resources on this demo system because it's open to the public. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. So I need to see, as an administrator, I want to see who's using our system. So that's what this last active user list is showing me. And yes, somebody mentioned sortable columns. Absolutely. So if you want to sort on these columns, you can sort up, down, and back again. So yeah, sort any column you want. The other cool thing is this is probably more interesting up in this filter, but this filter box, you can filter on the fly. So let's say I want to look for anything that has gold in it. It's a live filter, so you can filter them down real easy. Resource management, again, I've got full access. I can look at any of the resource tables. So we maintain real resource tables, IP addresses, host names. Host name is was a special table for a solution that we were building, but you might build your own table with a list of host names in it. And you can see each system that has that particular table responded. This one is from the VM4 system. This one's from the VC1 system. So they're different tables on different systems. And this little notification box came up to let you know actions being done. This little the notification box is purely to give you an eye catcher to let you know what action zPRO is taking, especially if it's a remote system that may take a few seconds to come back. It lets you know that something is actually being done and waiting for response. Reports, we provide different types of reports. Server detail report. So I'm going to do a server detail report on our cloud system. And as the title expresses, it is a detailed report on all the servers. So this is a complete listing of every server defined through zPRO or managed by zPRO and what it's using. So you can see all the disks, all the storage, all the IP addresses, etc. The other thing, you can do a network overview, so you can see your vSwitch configuration, what servers are currently active, what IP addresses they have going, so you can get a full network indication of your systems. The other thing that this is something that you would do once you first install zPRO. zPRO is not managing anything, so it doesn't, out of the box, it's not going to be managing anything until you tell it to. So set virtual machine owner will actually go through your directory and find all the user IDs that are available to be managed by zPRO. It does go through a filter list. So there are basic things that are filtered, such as operator, maint 710 or the maint ID, things like that, things that are common IDs that you may not want to be included in zPRO. You can override that. So you can actually manage, let's say you want to maintain operator. You want to manage operator, make sure operator is running disconnected on all your systems. You can put that in zPRO. For instance, I have an ID called NetWatch. This NetWatch ID is just a worker CMS user watching our network, because we want to make sure we're not getting, strange things happening from countries that I've, didn't even know existed. That we want to maintain that and watch that. So that's what this ID does on all our systems. I want to make sure it's running. So I've included it in zPRO, and I can start and stop it if I need to, and actually manage it. It's not a Linux server. It's not anything but just a CMS guest. So you can do that with operator or any other ID that you want to manage through zPRO. So you can, again, take ownership. I do see I'm running a little low on time, so I'm going to sum up this demo very quickly. If you notice on the left side, I've got a lot of options here. Creating servers, I've got a long list of creating different servers. This is just an example showing you the a la carte version of creating servers. I can actually define multiple servers of the same kind in one interaction, and give it all the details I need. I can change the memory, change the expiration, change how many CPUs it has, etc. There's a lot of other features and functions, far more than I have time to talk about, but just to show you that there is a lot that you can do with zPRO, all the way from all these options that I have as an administrator, all the way through an operator or a group ID kind of interaction down to the end user. So there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of feature and function to manage your systems within zPRO. I'm going to jump back into.
Hey, James.
Yes.
There were a couple of questions in the chat.
Oh, sorry. Let's see.
One from Gonzalo and one a little farther back.
Does the move operation detect if the Linux guest is deployed in a source ZVM LPAR that is part of the same SSI cluster, where the target VM LPAR is to do LGR, and if not, dead guest relocation? So yes, LGR fully 100% capable. It knows it's in an SSI cluster. So that's live guest relocation. So that's completely and absolutely supported. We have dead guest relocation support. It's not part of the out-of-the-box solution at this time. We did actually build it. We have it working. There's some polishing that needs to be done, but we could do dead guest relocation. So I could actually, from one enterprise connection, one LPAR, to another enterprise connected LPAR, I can dead guest relocate, yes.
And a little farther back, how do you happen to know how many resources are being left after building Z-Linux guests?
That's a great question. At this very moment, we depend on whatever manages that particular resource. For instance, the directory manager is normally the one that manages your DASD resources. So we depend on the directory manager to let us know, you define something new, it's going to come back and tell you whether or not that's possible based on what's left. There are going to be reports for things like that, for directory management, knowing what's being used, what's left, just being able to see, oh, I've got 150 terabytes of storage left in this particular pool, all the way down to each device if need be, to dig in farther. So that's going to be available through zPRO. The other parts, the OSAs, the IP addresses, those are all available through zPRO. You can see each resource list see who's allocated, see what resources are free. So that's all built in and available. Same with full DASD resources. So anybody that's using full pack DASD on their Linux clones, you can manage those through zPRO also. All right, I am going to skip ahead. Watch this really fast. Hope you all got that. So again, managing Linux on Z, very easy. You can give this access to anybody, systems programmers, end users, operations, even managers. You can give them access. Management likes to just see things. Is it good? Is it bad? I want to report, that kind of thing. So you can give them access to do those things. And that's again, one of the many features and benefits of zPRO is to be able to delegate. You don't need to give anybody any special authority because zPRO has that built in to handle directory management, security management, all of those things. You can give the access through zPRO without them having special authority. And all the boundaries you can set up and manage and maintain yourself. So, you don't have to have one set of end user authorities. You can build your authority levels for each group, each user, based on what their role has to be. So you can do that. Oh,
There's another question, James, in the
yes.
chat.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Do you maintain unique user IDs over the entire enterprise? Yes and no. And that's a tricky question. In an enterprise view, you only need a user ID on one of those systems. So whichever system you're using as the master login, you'll need some form of user ID on that system. And then the connectivity to the other systems does not require the user ID to be there. So there's no physical user ID, so to speak, in the CP directory on those other systems. They don't have to be on those other systems. So the login is the login authentication is once on the main system. So whether you're using LDAP, RACDAP, whatever the authentication backend is, it's only done once. And then the rest of it is done through tokens and keys, secure keys that pass back and forth. So back to real quick to the presentation, because I'm a few minutes over. I'm very sorry. I'm going to sum this up. zPRO lets your folks that may not have much system knowledge do their work. Again, through system administrators all the way down to end users, whatnot. It does help them ramp up their support really quickly while they're learning this platform. So it lets them get their work done, and they can still have some time to learn, oh, what does this file list thing really do? How does Xedit work? That kind of, those things that you really want to dig into. It reduces time in cloud management. Again, delegation. Delegation's a big deal. Let someone else do the things they need to do, and let me do the heavy lifting. If we're moving data centers, I need to focus on moving a data center. I don't want to be starting and stopping servers. Let someone else do that. And all those self-service models that I just went through let you do that. Customer case stories, I'm not going to read all these. We've had some really, really neat comments from some of our customers. And in fact, just recently, we've had some more I didn't put in here. But really what it boils down to is zPRO really took the monkey off their back in a number of different ways. So it helped them in different aspects of their job. It helped them with specific need. It helped them with things that they didn't even realize, because some of our customers didn't even think about giving access to operators. It wasn't a consideration, and then they did. And it just made them breathe a lot easier. No more late night wake ups. This is, you can try it yourself. As I mentioned, our cloud is open to you, to anybody. You can go to this URL. On that particular login screen at demovelocitysoftware.com/zPRO, it even has the user ID and password that you need to log in as. So you can log in, it can do one and only one thing. Well, actually, it can do two things. The one thing it really does is let you register for our cloud system, and you can do that. The other thing you can do is log off. So it's very limited. Again, it's all through zPRO, so you limit exactly what it can do. Once you have a login, you can create your own servers, you can play with them, you can log into them, you can do all kinds of stuff. So full access. So again, in summary, I said I was going to mention this 14 times. I think this is time number 15. So it's zPRO makes it simple, fast, powerful to manage your ZVM on-prem cloud. Again, you want a solution that's reliable, fast, and easy. You don't want to spend days managing the solution or installing the solution or configuring the solution. You want it to work fast and quick. And our customers agree with this. So it's a great solution for anybody running ZVM on Linux, or sorry, running Linux on ZVM. And that wraps it up. Are there any additional questions? Let's see.
There's a question here about libvirt.
libvirt.
Yeah, I assume any integration with that is a question.
We do not do anything with libvirt with ours, with zPRO. So no, we do not have libvirt built into zPRO.
Okay. All right. Well, awesome presentation, James. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
James will be around, I assume. So if you have other questions you want to put into the chat or check with him, he'll be there.
Absolutely.